Hey friends, what's up? Phillip here with Points with Phillip, and I'm here to tell you how I ended up earning over 700,000 airline miles and points with sign-up bonuses so far this year. Now, I know that sounds like a lot, right? 700,000 is insane. And I'm going to break down and tell you exactly what happened to me so far this year and where I'm at. So before we get into it though, please like and subscribe because, well, I need your support in order to be able to continue doing videos like these, and I'd rather, and hopefully I'm able to give you some information that you're able to use. So let's go ahead and get into it. So how is it possible to earn 705,000 miles? And so first of all, I think it's important to note that I'm not including a bunch of random like hotel credit cards there. So I didn't get the 140,000 point offer from IHG or something like that. This is all going to be credit card miles or airline miles. And so let's get into it. So first of all, we're including the American Express Business Gold Card sign-up bonus. Now, there was a 200,000 point bonus going around for $15,000 in spend over 3 months. But I found that link, I applied through that link, and I was not approved for the bonus. So I was in pop-up jail for the 200,000 point offer. However, I actually later that day got a targeted offer for 150,000 Amex points over $15,000 in spend over 3 months, and I was approved for that sign-up bonus. So now I actually did this in the beginning of February because, well, I knew that my wife and I were going to have to pay taxes. So she owns her own business, I have a business as well, and so I knew that we were probably going to have to pay some taxes, and I thought the Business Gold Card would be a great way to kind of harness that bonus spend and do something that could really make us a decent amount of points. And so we went ahead and started firing on all cylinders. We'll talk about that as well. However, I also was targeted for an upgrade offer for my personal gold card with American Express. So I was targeted with an offer to upgrade my gold to an American Express personal platinum card for 125,000 points after spending $6,000 in 6 months. And so we'll get into that too. So we are currently 150,000, 125,000. So that's already a decent amount of change, but how do we get to 705,000? Let's get into it. So the business platinum offer of 250,000 points for $20,000 in spend across 3 months. So this one was actually possible because, well, my wife and I went on a trip in March, and so we were able to put a lot of that spend on the tax and fees for the airfare, for the hotels, and then a lot of our purchases in England we were able to put on the American Express card. And so we actually got into that offer without having to go into the tax spend. So on the same day that we found out from our tax person that our bill was going to be about $20,000, I got this targeted offer on my American Express account for 250,000 points. So I decided to go ahead and click accept, and well, here we are. So that spend has been completed. I earned 1.5 points per dollar on that $20,000 spend, so that's an extra 30,000 points. But then I also ended up getting that 250,000 point bonus. And so far we're at 250,000 points, 125,000 points, and 150,000 points rather as well. So where are the rest of them? So let's get into it. So I also, after my wife and I arrived back home from England and France, I went to the mailbox and I found a targeted offer from Citibank for 80,000 American Airlines miles if I signed up for the Citi AA Vantage Platinum Elite card. And so that's also something that I'm working on. That's 80,000 points for $4,000 in spend over 4 months. And so that's something that I'm also currently working on as well. And then we also have the Chase Sapphire Preferred. So that has an all-time offer, high offer of 100,000 Chase miles after spending $5,000 in 3 months. And so that is another thing that we are actually yet to start because it hasn't come in the mail yet, but once it does, we will get those knocked out. So, and of course, you know, we also earned points from the spending for all this as well. And so that's going to be a little bit higher just off of spending. But at least if you just take a look at the sign-up bonuses, that's going to be 705,000 miles. And that's going to be between American Express points, Chase points, and American Airlines miles. And so that's what we're working with. So before we get into it, let's get into my credit card year so far. So the first thing I did this year was I converted my Chase Boundless card, the Marriott Boundless card, to the Ritz-Carlton card. And so that didn't have a sign-up bonus. However, I also did get kind of the consolation price of 35,000 point free night award with Marriott. And how I can use that is, well, in Orlando, there's downtown a Grand Bohemian. That's actually quite nice. And sometimes, as long as you're not looking for major dates like the 4th of July or something like that, you can find nights for 38 to 45,000 points per night. And so I have 20,000 Marriott points just sitting in my Marriott account, and I have that 35,000 point night. So I plan on using that for some night that I want to get away and travel and experience the Grand Bohemian Hotel downtown, because that's a property that my wife and I have never visited. And I've heard great things about that particular property. So, and that honestly, so for off-peak nights, it's usually around $400 or $500 a night, and it can go up to about $1,000 a night. So for that, that first, little bit, that will go really well towards helping that. So let's get into it. So then I also opened the American Express Business Gold card. Also opened up the American Express Business Platinum card, switched the Gold card to the Platinum card as well, and then opened up the Citi card and then the Chase Sapphire Preferred. And so that's so far what I'm doing this year with credit cards. So let's get into each card and why I decided to get into it. So the Boundless card, the Boundless Marriott card is it's a very nice hotel card. So if you are in the Marriott ecosystem, what does it get you? So first of all, the annual fee was $95, and that's something that I actually paid for the first year for it. And then I actually got the 5 free night awards, last year, and that we were able to use some of those nights, at least in Paris, during our trip in December. And that also earns a 35,000 point free night award after the end of your calendar year. And so that's something that I actually got in February. And so that's something that I'll be able to use, that I'm very excited about. And, for that Grand Bohemian, if we're able to use it there. So the reason why I transferred to the Ritz was because, well, I wanted to be able to bring unlimited guests to and have access to Priority Pass, because I wanted the wife to be able to participate in those lounges as well. And then I also wanted some family members to be able to use lounges as well. And from everything that I read before I got the card, it seemed like the $300 travel credit was relatively easy to use. And so, basically I was able to, so the annual fee for the Ritz-Carlton is $450. But the $300 travel credit, especially since I knew I was going to fly at least once this year, that I was going to be able to get that credit back. And so $150 residual annual fee for actual unlimited guests for Priority Pass lounges is pretty good. And you also have unlimited access to, say, Chase Sapphire Preferred Lounge or Chase Sapphire lounges as well. And so that was kind of a big deal for me. So what does this card earn? It earns 6 points, and these are Marriott points on Marriott purchases. You also get 3 points per dollar on airline tickets, car rentals, and dining purchases. And so because this is such a great travel card, it has a ton of really great travel protections. It has the primary rental travel CDW. It has, trip cancellation. It has, lost baggage, the whole 9 yards. It has, if Chase offers it as a wonderful benefit, or if Visa's Infinite cards offer it, then it is on that card. And so it makes sense that there are higher multipliers on the travel categories that you'd want to put on this card anyway to give yourself that extra protection. And then you also get 2x Marriott points on every per dollar on every other spend. So the baseline is 2 Marriott points per dollar. So it also has, the solid rental and the travel protections, which is important. So let's move on now to the American Express Business Gold. And so I got it because, well, I knew that we were going to be paying taxes. So I tried for the 200,000 point offer, didn't get it, but I was accepted for the 150,000 point offer, which was really great for me. Now, the annual fee is $375, and it's kind of steep, but when you're dealing with 150,000 American Express points, well, things start to get into more perspective. So let's get into it. So it's surprisingly, if you have a employee card, and that's what the additional user cards are called on business cards, there's actually a fee associated with getting the gold card. Now, it doesn't actually give you any benefits. And so my wife, I went ahead and gave her the no fee white plastic American Express gold card, business card, employee card. And so that was for no fee. Now, this earning is kind of simple, but also kind of complicated. So you get 4 times points per dollar on whatever your top 2 categories is of a certain list of categories. And so the first one is purchases at U.S. media providers for advertising and select media, so online, TV, and radio. So my wife and I, despite the fact that she works in advertising, don't spend a lot of money in advertising, so that won't be a good category for us. You also have U.S. purchases made from electronics good retailers and software and cloud system providers. And so I'm also not buying any computers for a while, at least, not for a little bit. And so that is also something that I probably won't be able to get a lot of use out of. So the next one here, the next possible category is U.S. purchases at restaurants, including takeout and delivery. And so this one is where it feels more like the personal gold card, right? So the personal gold card gets you 4 points per dollar on dining purchases and grocery purchases, as long as it's not a big box store. And so that kind of makes it feel a little bit more home. So my wife and I like to go out to eat a decent amount, and so that is a great way to earn there. Now, you also get 4 points per dollar possible at U.S. purchases at gas stations. That's one of your categories. So depending on how much you spend on gas, this could be a pretty big multiplier for you. Now, you also get transit purchases, including trains, taxi cabs, rideshare services, ferries, tolls, parking, buses, and subways. So if you're someone that's visiting a major city coming up soon, the business gold could be a good pal to have in your wallet. And then the final category is monthly wireless telephone service charges made directly from wireless telephone service provider in the United States. And so a lot of these are United States specific, but there's a lot of possible ways for you to get that value. But for us, it's either probably going to be definitely the restaurants, and then maybe the gas stations, or maybe the electronic goods providers, depending on if we need to upgrade our laptop or something like that. Then you also get 3 points per dollar on airfare and 1 point per dollar on everything else. So that's the American Express Business Gold multipliers. Now let's get into what's involved credit-wise. So the credits here are going to be, there's a $240 business credit. And so that comes in $20 a month. And that's could be at U.S. purchases at FedEx, Grubhub, and office supply stores. So if you go to Staples or Office Max or something like that, then that will be an earner for you. So that is good to know. So that is $20 a month, and it usually credits pretty quickly after I go to Grubhub, because it's easy for me to get value from Grubhub. So there's also a Walmart Plus credit of $155 a month, and so that's going to be a huge asterisk, because you can actually purchase the yearly Walmart Plus subscription for $98 a year. And so valuing that at $155 when you have to buy it in a weird way in order to get that value is kind of weird. But also keep in mind, you can't use this credit to buy the yearly, you have to buy it in monthly in order to get the full credit. So that is important. So the Business Gold Card has some decent, has a decent offer, has some decent earnings, and then has, a few credits to help kind of make things a little more palatable. So now let's move into the Platinum. So the first one we're going to go into is the Personal Platinum. So I had the Personal Gold Card that I had been using for the last year and decided to upgrade it. There was an upgrade offer of 125,000 points. And so I decided to do that. So let's take a look at the multiplier. So what are you getting when you spend on the Platinum card? So that's going to be 5 points per dollar on airfare and hotels with Amex Travel. And then it's going to be 1 times on everything else. So it's not going to be a big earner for you unless you're specifically doing those types of travel spend. You also have loads of other credits. There's a $200 airfare credit that has its own long set of rules. You actually have to select an aircraft carrier, or you have to select a carrier in order to be able to use it. And so that can be a big deal. Then you also have $200 credit that can be used for fine hotels and resorts properties for stays of 1 night or longer. Or you can also use it for stays in the hotel collection for stays of 2 nights or longer. Then you also have $100 Saks credit, $50 every 6 months. And then you have the $240 entertainment credit, and that's $20 a month. And that includes subscriptions to Disney and one of theirs, so Hulu or ESPN Plus. Peacock is also in there, as is the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times. And so all those can help you. So if you already spend on those directly, then that's $240 of value that you can expect to get. There's also a $200 Uber credit, and that comes in the form of Uber Cash deposited directly into your account. You can use that for Uber Rides or Uber Eats. And so I've been using it for Uber Eats mostly. It also has a Clear credit, which is super nice. As someone who has used Clear for the last year, it's definitely something I wouldn't want to leave home without, because it's great to have options when you're trying to get through that hotel or the airline security. There's also global dining access for Resi. So with that, you actually get specific access for the ability to, if a restaurant is completely booked on reservations the night of, you can actually do priority notify. And so if someone cancels, you're one of the first people that will be notified that that reservation is available, and you can jump on it and make that reservation. That's something that I've been able to do a number of times since I acquired the Aspire card late last year, and the Platinum card also has that benefit. And so that's going to be important. Now you also get lounge access. So lounge access with American Express Platinum cards is kind of the GOAT. So you have access to, first of all, the Centurion lounges, and that is American Express's own lounges, but you also have access to Priority Pass. So you also have access to Plaza Premium lounges, Escape lounges, the whole 9 yards. But what's interesting is through Priority Pass, you actually get access to one free Sapphire Reserve or Sapphire Lounge per year as well. Not to mention the Delta Sky Clubs, which you can actually do upon arrival as well. And then, so that's kind of interesting, although there is a limit there as well. So there's a lot of stuff going on with the Personal Platinum. Now, let's go ahead and get into the Business Platinum card. So how I decided to get it, so I spent the amount needed that I needed for the Business Gold sign-up bonus, decided to go ahead and pull the trigger on this. So what do you get for that $6.95 annual fee? So you get 5 points on airfare and hotels through American Express Travel. And so the airfare you can buy directly with airlines or through the portal, and then the hotels you have to buy specifically in the portal. And then you get 1.5% back on, or 1.5x on everything else on some business categories and purchases greater than $5,000. And so that is that can really be a good multiplier, the 1.5%. So if you're someone who regularly does larger purchases, that extra adds up. So for instance, take a look at my tax payment. If that qualifies for the 1.5, and I believe it should, that 1.5 is going to give me 30,000 points on that 20,000 tax purchase, when if it was 1 point per dollar, I would have gotten 20,000 points. And so it adds up if you are actually making those spends for the Business Platinum card. Then it gets 1 point per dollar on everything else. There's also a lot of benefits, but they're kind of difficult to get value from. So let's take a look at the Dell credit. So that was recently announced that there was a change to the Dell credit. However, currently until the end of June, it's $200 every 6 months on any purchases made directly with Dell. And so basically, so that's nice. So that would be $400 a year. However, after starting in July, the credit changes. So it's going to be $150 directly. And then if you spend, I think it's $5,000, you get $1,000 back as a statement credit. And this is exclusively, of course, with Dell. So we're kind of in a weird between space where I can actually double dip a little bit, get the $200 and then get the $125 on the flip side. So we'll see what happens with that. But then you also get $360 back on Indeed purchases. This is definitely something I'm not going to be using. I don't see a lot of people using it because, well, if you're a small business and you're looking to hire someone, you're probably really going to look for word of mouth instead of doing the whole Indeed thing. But, you know, if you're someone who's been able to use it, definitely tell me below in the comments. Now, let's take a look at the Adobe credit. So currently, that is $150 on yearly purchases, so annual purchases of certain business products. And so that's changing after the end of June. And so starting in July, you'll be able to actually, it will change the amount, but it will also change to where you can actually get I think the $150 will be the same, but it will change to where you'll be able to actually use it for regular personal Adobe account uses. And so that could be something that you get more use out of if you're someone who is in the creative space. Now, let's take a look. There's a $120 wireless statement credit. So that's going to be $10 a month. If you use it for your wireless bill, you get $10 off back as a statement credit for that. Then you also get another $200 airline fee credit. So this one is similar to the one on the Platinum, where you have to basically select a airline in advance, and then you can also get all that credit. So there's also a weird $200 Hilton Business credit. So you actually have to sign up for Hilton Business. So you actually have to have your own domain, and you have to have your own email with that domain and a website, and then you can sign up for the Hilton Business. But once you get that signed up and enrolled through the American Express Business Platinum card, you actually can get $50 a quarter in Hilton spend. Now, if you have a Hilton card, this is kind of a mixed bag, because if you're spending on the Platinum card at 1 point per dollar, you're probably losing out on, 14 Hilton points per dollar if you could use the Aspire card, for example. So not sure how I'm going to use that, but we'll see moving forward. And then there's also another Clear Plus credit for there that they value at $199. So let's now move on to one of the last cards, the Citi A Advantage Platinum Select card. And so I had the targeted mailing offer of 80,000 points for $4,000 in spend over 4 months. And the multipliers are kind of weak, but it's American Airlines miles, so they're kind of valuable. So let's get into it. So you get 2 points per dollar on American Airlines purchases directly, but you also get 2 points per dollar on dining and gas station purchases. And so if you're someone who is definitely flying American Airlines exclusively, this could be a good or a decent earner for you. Although, to be fair, if you're using, say, the American Express Platinum card, that's 5 American Express points per dollar for that same purchase. So it's a give and take. It depends on which ecosystem you want to earn in. You also get 1 point per dollar on everything else. Now, this one, the card is kind of special. You get an introductory annual fee. It's $0 and then $99 for the following year. So then the benefits include 1 free checked bag per person on any reservation that you create as the card holder. And it's up to 4 companions. Now, it's also important to note that that is on a domestic trip. And so if you're flying on American Airlines to a different country, then you should not expect to get this free checked bag benefit. So just be aware of that. Then you also get preferred boarding on American Airlines flights. And so there are some benefits of that card. So let's get into the Chase Sapphire Preferred. So 100,000 Chase point offer for $5,000 in spend the first 3 months. That comes with a $95 annual fee and no fee at all for authorized users, which is kind of nice, right? So you get 5 points per dollar on Chase travel purchases, as you can use the travel portal to book rentals, hotels, airfare, the whole 9 yards. You also get 3 points per dollar on dining purchases, 2 points per dollar on any other travel. So if it's something outside of the Chase travel portal, you get 2 points per dollar on that. And then 1 point on everything else. You also get a global entry fee credit. But now, so we had the $95 annual fee. You also get $50 in a Chase travel hotel credit each card member year. And so so if you are someone who is using the travel portal a decent amount now, then you're able to get $50 off that. Now, it's important to note that if you're using travel portal, a lot of times you don't get to benefit from any hotel loyalty programs that you're a part of. So that can be a part of a problem, right? Now, you also get some DoorDash benefits. So you get a free Dash Pass membership. So we use that a lot because of the big 3, so Grubhub, Dash Pass, and then Uber Eats. DoorDash appears to be the one that messes up the least. So we have very few. You have had a few in the past, but very few very few big problems with DoorDash. And so that could be a big benefit. You also get $10 monthly in DoorDash credit. You have to enroll for that benefit, but that can be helpful as well. So that's $10 a month. That's $120 a year. If you decide to value that, then that could definitely give you money back. So essentially you could say the Chase Sapphire Preferred is paying you to use it if you get value from that Dash Pass credit. You also get something interesting is 25% more value on travel redemptions for points. So that's basically essentially it extends out the value of your points when redeeming for travel in the portal. So you have kind of a baseline 1.25 cents per point on any points through the travel. And that's certainly better than some of the other banks like Capital One or American Express, who, if you want to use it directly in the portal, 1 cent per point could kind of be the maxed out value for that. So that's kind of a big benefit. Plus also any spend that you make on the Chase Sapphire Preferred card within the year, your card member anniversary, you get 10% of those points boosted back to you. So say their example on the website for Chase was if you spend 25,000 points or $25,000, you can get an additional 2,500 points basically at the end of your card member year. And so it's small, but it's worth talking about. So let's get into what I can do with my Chase points. So first of all, Hyatt hotels are huge. If you're going to be doing hotels, Hyatt's going to be the way to go if you want to use your Chase points. So I was able to successfully use 45,000 Hyatt points that I purchased last year. And I was able to get a Park Hyatt New York stay for, it would have been a $2,500 a night, I got it for 45,000 Hyatt points. And so That's a lot of value. So you can also, let's talk about airlines. So airlines, Air France is one of my favorites. They're a huge travel partner. They're also a travel partner for American Express and Capital One. So that can help you kind of, if you're in multiple ecosystems and you use Air France, then that's a great way to earn some value. JFK to Paris for 60,000 points in business. Now, some of those award availability is a little scarce. You got to kind of tinker around a little bit in order to find it, but they are there. And then Virgin points are really good for us in Orlando. So premium economy can be around 12,000 points per seat from basically East Coast United States to England. And so that's a pretty cheap flight. You can also get 45,000 point business seats. We were able to get two 45,000 point seats in upper class with Virgin from Manchester back home to Orlando in March. And that was during spring break, so a very heavy travel season. So we got some value out of that, to be sure. So let's take a look at JetBlue. So tickets to New York or DC from Orlando, around 5,000 to 7,000 JetBlue points. And this is important with Chase. JetBlue is a one-to-one transfer partner, which means that if you are using JetBlue, your Chase points are going to be a lot more valuable than anywhere else. For instance, Capital One, you have to do 5 Capital One points in order to get 3 JetBlue points, and then let's see. Citibank is also similar to that. It's definitely not one-to-one. American Express is like, I think it's like, if you do 5, you get 4 back or something like that. It's weird numbers, essentially, basically. Now, so Chase is also the only partner for United and Southwest flights. So if you value those, there has been some adjustments with the Southwest reward program. We won't get into that in this video. But if you do value Southwest or United flights, then Chase is, well, where you want to go. What can we do with AA miles? So there are direct flights from Orlando to Chicago, New York, DC, and LAX, which are awesome. And there's also countless others. I haven't really looked too much into the point redemptions, but I do know for those 80,000 points, my wife and I can probably make 2 round trips to some of those cities almost for free. So that's kind of a big benefit for us. Now, Amex points are kind of the GOAT too. So I used 45,000 Virgin points for upper class seats from Manchester to Orlando. That was transferred from American Express. So in the past, I was able to use 50,000 points per business class seat to fly me and my wife from Paris to JFK. And so that was a big deal. You can also use Virgin Airlines and Air France to book Delta flights without having to pay any taxes on those point transfers. But also they can be a lot cheaper. So I was looking for some flights on Delta from Orlando to Huntsville, and Delta wanted for 2 round trip tickets, they wanted 80,000 points. I was able to book that for about 40,000 points using Air France. So do with that what you will. So what I want to do with these points in the future. So I'm interested in using Cathay to book British Airways business class on a flight to Europe that we're going to be doing in 2026. And I also want to figure out how to get into a first class seat. So there are a couple of different airlines where we can actually use American Express points to redeem for first class seats. And I want to see if that's possible. So that's kind of one of my main goals that I'm going to be doing. But thanks so much for joining me on this ride. I can't believe that I was able to earn so many points, and we'll continue to work on some of these bonuses, but all the biggies are out of the way. Thanks so much for joining me, and I can't wait to see you guys next time. But until then, hope you have a great day.